Sorry about the difficulty on the. So, like we were talking about the tube system. So, tube systems are awesome. They help us a lot, with like delivering medications and sending stat doses to the floors. This is a little preview of what the pharmacy looks like and some of the duties that technicians have to, encounter like every day that we come in. We do a little bit of everything. Like I said, every technician has their assigned duty, but we are a team, so we all work together. If we're done with trays, restocking med carousels, we always help each other, to make our day like smoother and make the work easier for everyone. I know the pharmacy tech program is being offered in many high schools, and there's also a lot of vocational schools that offer it. If you're interested, with the pharmacy, I would, talk to you, maybe your counselor, and get ahead, of yourself, maybe. So that when you get out, you already have something to look for. As a pharmacy technician, I mean, all I could say is, we look forward like being multitask because there's so many different duties that you have to do at once. Phone call, like med requests, deliveries, code blues, and all this stuff. So being a multitask would be like the biggie, a customer service, even as a retail, a hospital and retail are a little bit different, but they still come together. We're all here to, take care of patients, customer service. Our customers here are our doctors, our nurses. Those are our customers because we don't directly speak to patients, right? At retail, you do have to interact with your patients. So customer service is a big, in both areas if you would like to go to a retail or hospital. Being responsible, punctual, always wanting to go over and beyond, helping others because it's just going to make the work easier for each one of us. If I think we have some questions. So again, if you want to submit any questions, by scanning the QR code on the screen or by going to www.menti.com and use the access code that I mentioned, 5313 3911, we'll have some questions here, and I'll start. What is retail? So a retail pharmacy is like an H-E-B, Walmart, privately owned pharmacies. We have many like pharmacies that like maybe Apple, Science. There's so many privately owned pharmacies. So that's a retail, and where you would like interact with patients, when you go to Walmart and you're like in the aisles and looking for Tylenol, the technicians or pharmacists will probably approach you and be like, you need any help? That's a retail versus like a hospital basis where we work, when it's like all these big hospitals. So that's a retail. Okay, so how old you have to be to become an intern or work at a pharmacy? Okay, so when you're at high school, they already offer you the pharmacy technician program. You could become a pharmacy tech immediately graduating after high school. You just have to take advantage of the programs. You come and do your practicum hours here at the hospital, so you could put hands on and see what it is, and see if like this is what you want to pursue. But they do offer it. So immediately out of high school, you could become a pharmacy technician. If you wait a little bit longer, then there's a lot of vocational schools that offer it, out there. And there's really, I guess 18 and above, you could become a pharmacy tech or I enjoy what I do. Yes, I do enjoy it. Like I mentioned before, I've been a pharmacy technician for already 17 years. There's a lot to learn. Everything has changed from when I started till now. Back then, it was like bins and you had to go and grab your meds, based in alphabetical order. Now everything's automated. There's Pyxis machines, there's med carousels, there's PackMed. everything's, like pretty awesome, because like they all communicate. So now it's like if you start from here, everything will tell you exactly where to go, versus how it was back then. So yes, I do love what I do. um, okay. How much studying did it take? It took me, from back then when I went to school, it was a lot because I was like working and going to school. But if you love what you do, like anything's possible. You learn how to like mix both things, and when it's time to focus at work, when it's time to focus in school. It is a lot, but if you love it, like you'll do great. You'll manage how to like do both work and school. I do not work directly with patients. Yes and no. Well, yes, I guess I should go back and say we do have some positions here as a pharmacy technician that you do interact with the patients. We have a med reconciliation technician. They review your home meds. So when you come in a hospital, you need to bring your medications. We review them. We verify, what you're taking. And stuff. So yes, there is a position. There is some positions here. We do interact with patient directly, but the majority of the time we're kind of like at the back where we dispense your meds. We make sure you have your IVs. We make sure we take care of you, and that you get everything you need in order for you to get better and go home. So we kind of do have that interaction, but not as much as if you were nursing. Um, how I gained my position as a supervisor. So I started as a technician here like 12 years ago. After 2 years of being a technician and working hard and wanting to get more and more involved into projects and duties, responsibilities, that's a lateral scale. Like if you want to become somebody bigger and with like, you could always do it. I encourage, like if you want to keep on going, you could always keep on going, and you'll get there. It is more responsibilities, but I love them. I love teaching my technicians. When students come, I like to show them. I like to be a mentor. I love my position as a supervisor, and like I encourage us, with time and with experience, you could always get wherever you want to get, and I love being a supervisor. I also do the technician duties. So as a supervisor, you have to be capable of knowing what the technicians do. Why? Because as a supervisor, you have to know every single aspect or every single part of a technician. So yes, I do assist. I do help. I work together. Like I said, we are a team here, so we work together in order to get the work done. Sometimes we have good days. We sometimes we have bad days. So yes, as a supervisor, you do have to know every single responsibility, and I also work. I do technician duties as well. When the refrigerator is red, that means it's out of range. Good question. So what we do, we have to make sure that we go to that unit, verify the medications are within the temperature. If they're not, we need to immediately remove them. We need to do a ticket. Our biomed staffing come look at it. Either they move the temperature up or they move it down. If the refrigerator needs to be replaced, then we'll replace it. But yes, the red means it's out of range, and we have to follow our process in place. Mm, okay. A favorite task to do. As a supervisor or like a technician, when we come in, first thing is like, okay, like look at our area, you know, supervise and see, okay, if there's any trays that need to get done, if there's any medications that need to be delivered. So my first duty as I come in is like what I see first, you know, if there's any medications, Pyxis medications that need to go. You know, clean the area and make sure that everything's being done, or if there's anything that hasn't been done, you know, follow up and see exactly what's the reason why it hasn't gone out. My job, it's not difficult. It's just, you know, you have to kind of multitask a lot and see exactly, you need to prioritize and be like, okay, yes, we have 10 things I need to get done today, but we're going to start with this first one second, and you go. So you just have to manage and see exactly what is it that you have to do first, and slowly, you know, get to all your other 9 duties that you have to do. So it's not difficult. You just have to manage and know how to, like, you know, take them step by step. Okay. Let me see if I have any more questions. So yes, chemistry and math. Yes, you have to know both of them. You do have to deal with a lot of, like, you know, milligrams, calculate patient's weight, adding, subtracting. So yeah, the basic stuff you will deal with that, and chemistry as well. Like I said, you have to do a lot of compounding, make tablets and liquid to a liquid, you know, liquid tablets and liquid, yeah, to make the liquid form, or creams and stuff. So yes, you do have to have both of them involved, you know, to for the pharmacy technician duties. You have to confirm, you know, doses and make sure that what you're doing is right. It's a pharmacy technician certificate, and like I mentioned, you could get it straight out of high school, or you could go to any vocational school and they'll offer it for you. I would take advantage of that. You know, you're already getting out of high school with, like, your certification as a pharmacy technician, and you could start from there. You know, pursuing a profession and then seeing if that's what you are looking for. But I encourage, you know, a lot of you all to take advantage if it's being offered at your schools. How has your job changed since COVID? It has changed a lot. There is a lot of policies and, you know, a lot of processes that we had to change, you know, due to COVID. Vaccines, you know, of course, wearing our mask. I'm not wearing it right now because there's nobody around me, but, you know, we have to wear a mask now. We had to move things around from the pharmacy because we cannot sit, you know, next to each other. A lot of the PPE, which is like the attire that we have to wear when we go to some units, because, you know, they're COVID, so we have to have, you know, the proper protection to go to some places. Work got a little bit, you know, busy. We're administering vaccines too, so yes, it did change a lot, you know, from like the pharmacy itself and everything around us, you know, nursing and everything. So it did change. It was a big impact, but we've been able to manage it. We've been able to work with it, and you know, we as a team work together to make it happen, and fight together, you know, COVID-19. So it did change a lot in so many ways. Let me see. Yes, I do. I do like our boss. Our boss is very understandable. He works well with all of us. He is a great leader. And yeah, you have to be at a place where you like, your director. He has, a lot on his plate, and as a pharmacy technician, like, you do have to, get along with all your coworkers. And yes, I do like my boss. Okay, guys. So once again, my name is Veronica Hernandez. I'm one of the pharmacy supervisors here at DHR Health. Like I mentioned, if you are interested into the pharmacy technician profession, I recommend you talk to your counselor, and get ahead of yourself, and let her know, what, I'm interested, and take whatever steps you need to take, in order to be a pharmacy technician, and then pursue that profession. Thank you, guys.
Hi, my name is Carlos Lopez. I am a medical assistant here at DHR Health. I first became interested in the medical assistant program because I know there is a lot of sick people that need the help from people like you and I. My daily routine as a medical assistant is to ensure examination rooms are nice and neat for the physicians, as well as taking vital signs of the patients. I'm going to be doing a quick demonstration of how to perform a blood pressure, temperature, and pulse for the patient. We're going to start off with the blood pressure cuff. It has a arterial left and right arm arrow, so you can either put it on left or right arm of the patient. We're going to start off with identify the patient, who they are by name and date of birth, as well as identifying yourself to the patient. Hi, my name is Carlos Lopez. I'm going to be doing your vital signs. I'm going to be placing the blood pressure cuff on your right arm. Okay, and this helps for riders to let them know whether the patient has a low blood pressure or a high blood pressure. Okay. Great, and we always want to make sure the patient does not have their feet crossed because it can determine a higher blood pressure. Okay. Next, we're going to go to the oxygen and pulse rate. And this goes on either right or left arm on either finger, okay? I'm going to borrow your finger. Okay. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and take the temperature of the patient. Okay. So I hope this video, sorry.
You can say for your closing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the outro.
You can do like a little recap. So the first thing I will do, again, just to recap, is take the pressure, check the values, whatever is, I make those notes for the physician to know. Then I check the temperature. So just do a recap of everything.
And I say, like, I hope this video.
And then this is part of my duties of what I do, and I hope you like this video. This is a great profession to enter if you're interested, and thank you very much. And Clay, have not moved this way a little bit. Okay. Ready, and action.
Okay, so once again, just a quick recap of what we just did right now, assessing the patient, just taking the blood pressure, temperature, and pulse of the patient. I hope this video interests you in becoming a medical assistant. Thank you and have a good day.
Hi, welcome back, students. Again, my name is Dr. Elisa Alvarado, and I'm here with Mr. Ronnie Osuna, PharmD, and he's also the Pharmacy Clinical Coordinator at DHR Health. So before we get started with asking Ronnie some fun questions, I'm just going to review a little bit about the segment. Just want to remind the students that this is a live segment, so you do have the possibility of asking questions. So feel free to submit your questions throughout the interview, and you can submit them by scanning the QR code on the screen or by going to www.menti.com and using the access code 479478 and 4. Again, you can also submit questions using the QR code. So before we get started, Ronnie, just a little bit about the PATHS program. PATHS stands for Pathways Aligned for Health Science, and it's a Perkins Federal Reserve grant that's funded by the TEA. This is currently our second year of the PATHS program, and this is the first time that we actually welcome middle school students to participate. We have 10 school districts that are participating, and there's 4 counties. And currently, we also this year included elementary school. Wow. So we're really excited to have all of these students here, and particularly the middle school students that are going to be transitioning into high school. So just a little bit of history. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what got you here today?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. Thank everybody for being here this morning. Great opportunity to get information on pharmacy and the pharmacy profession. I'm Ron Osuna. I'm born and raised in McAllen. Have lived here all my life. Obviously went away for school. Did some schooling. I'm a Mackay Bulldog. Graduated from McAllen High School. At that point, decided to go and pursue my undergraduate degree at Texas A&M University. So I got an undergraduate degree, my bachelor's in science in biology at Texas A&M University. And then came back and I taught. I was a teacher for 2 years, high school, physical science and chemistry here in the local area. And during that time is where I made my decision to go into pharmacy school. Pharmacy school was in a transition at that point. It was going from a bachelor's degree to a doctorate degree, and kind of pursued that pathway. Went to the University of Texas at Austin and did my pharmacy schooling there, and did my internship in San Antonio at the Health Science Center in San Antonio. Immediately after that, went and worked in Dallas for about a year and a half and did some clinical pharmacy work there with Presbyterian Dallas in downtown Dallas. And then decided to come back home where I felt that I was a resource and could help our community and our patients down here, and started to work at Rio Grande Regional Hospital. Worked there for about 8 years, and that's just south of DHR. And I've been here at DHR as in a clinical coordinator position for going on 11 years now. And then there's been some transition there too that I'll speak about in terms of my career in integrating some of the academics and things like that we are now a part of affiliated through the University of Houston College of Pharmacy. So wonderful path. I've had obviously changes of minds and things of that sort along the way, but where I've ended up, I think, has been a good result, and we're here taking care of our patients, our community, that eventually when you make your decision in your healthcare profession or otherwise, you can help our community here in the Valley.
So, Ronnie, I know that, you make it sound easy. You went to A&M and then you went to UT and then you came back. But what does it take? I mean, to get into these programs and really as a high school student or a student that's choosing pharmacy or choosing any type of healthcare career, what kind of grades did you have to get? And were you discouraged in school? Was it hard when you left? And just a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's not difficult if you have good work ethic. If you work hard and you're disciplined, I think anybody can actually do it. It is very competitive to get into pharmacy school. So starting now in middle school and getting through high school, make sure that you're tackling your core courses, which are math, science, Englishes, and doing good in those core courses, because those are the ones that actually help you and make you competitive to get into pharmacy school. Pharmacy school takes an application. You don't get automatically accepted because of a GPA. You have to go through a certain process. But the GPA is very important. So grades are very important starting off. That's number one. But there's also a personal component there, and it's your work ethic, your dedication, your determination, your passion for the profession. That plays a huge role when you apply to pharmacy school. And that comes through in your interview, when you interview for pharmacy school. There's another component in getting into pharmacy school, and that's a PCAT. That's a pharmacy entrance exam that you have to take. Some colleges have waived that since COVID and since enrollment has dropped a little bit because of the market in pharmacy. PCATs have been waived for certain universities, but there is a PCAT test that needs to be taken, and that score is very important for the applicant getting into pharmacy school. You have to be competitive. You're competing against about 400, 500 students that are applying to a certain college of pharmacy. So it's a big pool. You're competing against a good group of individuals. And consider this, because we're from the Rio Grande Valley. We're a large area. We're about 1 million people if you take care, a little over 1 million people if you look at the entire RGV. So we're a nice metropolitan area, if you will. But you're competing against other students in the state. You're competing against students that are in Dallas, Houston, Austin. And let me tell you this, you are just as competitive as those students if you just work hard.
So I know that a lot of times when I do these live sessions with doctors and nurses, and I always, the students always ask me to ask, how much do they make? Is there jobs, is there jobs for us if we go into that field, or is it going to be one of those things where you spend a lot of time and then you get out and then you can't find employment?
Yes.
And is it something that, your wage increases with your experience, or do you just right off the bat enter? And is it different if they go from a pharmacist working at, let's say, a CVS to a pharmacist working at UTRGV or a hospital? So a lot of the questions initially that we get kind of revolve around that, because students really want to know, like, if I'm going to be investing time and effort, what is my outlook like? And I know that salaries differ and that, healthcare careers differ. So I always try to tell them it's not going to be the same thing. But undoubtedly, if I don't ask that question, I will get
will get it
dinged.
asked.
Yes.
I hear you, Lisa. Yeah, I think the first thing to consider is picking a career that you love, and I think Veronica, our technician that you've heard of already, present. You need to have passion for what you're doing. It doesn't become work if you love it. When you go into work and you love what you're doing, and you get in there, sometimes the intangibles, which we talk about, like the salary and those types of things, go out the window. There's decisions that you're going to have to make, obviously, from a financial standpoint. I can tell you that pharmacy pays very well. You're going to make a very, very good living in pharmacy. As a doctorate, you gotta remember you've invested about at least 6 years of your life in schooling, so that has to get compensated somehow. The other thing, it's not only your commitment and your investment in the school or in your schooling or your academics, but it's the liability we have as pharmacists that you get paid for. It's very, very important that you consider that the end result of what happens within this pharmacy process as pharmacists, and we're practicing on a daily basis, is that patient, is the patient that we're caring for. That requires a lot of patience, focus, determination on a daily basis to be able to make sure that how we're treating the patients is the best way possible. There's an error that ever occurs that results in a patient negative outcome. So it's not all about just pharmacy. It's about treating patients and treating them well. And because of that, a pharmacist does earn pretty good money. And I can tell you it ranges depending on the setting. It ranges whether you're in the community setting like Walmart, Walgreens. It also ranges if you're working for a facility. It ranges if you're working for a university. It ranges if you're working for the pharmaceutical industry. It ranges if you're working as a nuclear pharmacist or a compounding pharmacist. But I can tell you the range is probably anywhere between $60 an hour to all the way up to about $70 an hour. That averages, I mean, if you look at an entire year, that's about $120,000 to about $140,000, $150,000 a year. But again, it's not the money. It's the passion you have for the profession, the passion that you have for those patients that you want to care for, and you want to care for in the most optimal way that you can. So.
And Ronnie, I have another question, and I know I'm keeping close tabs on the time because I know we have a short segment, but I've seen a lot of reports, particularly when the pandemic first started, and about how people didn't understand what pharmacists actually did to help in the distribution of the vaccine. So a lot of people think they bring the vaccine and you just need somebody to administer the vaccine. But that's not the case, right? Pharmacists play a really big role. And I think, for the students that are watching us today, it's important to know that it's part of the healthcare team. So a lot of what we say when we talk about careers in health science is that one part of the team really isn't going to be successful without the other part of the team. So tell us a little bit about kind of the unsung heroes in pharmacists through this COVID-19 and with the fact that you have to actively be involved in the preparation of the vaccine.
Absolutely. In the different capacities that we serve as pharmacists in the hospital, you have the managerial capacities. You have the supervisors like us that coordinate things. We have a clinical component. Pharmacy is no longer right behind the counter counting pills. We are a healthcare team, and we work with physicians, nurses. We take care of patients, side-by-side physicians on a daily basis. That's what I do with our infectious disease doctors. So when we care for patients as a team, we kind of integrate everybody in the decision-making for the patient care. Now, in terms of COVID, we were a huge resource. We work as a team. We became the resources for the doctors. There were new drugs that were coming out. There were new vaccines that were coming out that we had to get familiar with. We had to do some research. We had to investigate these drugs and be able to communicate that to physicians as to how to utilize these medications to cure our patients. And that deals with all the medications that came out for COVID. So I can see that pharmacy played a humongous role. We were actually leading the medication. We were the leaders in the medication resource. So I'd sit right side by side physicians saying, hey, this is the way we have to use this med. This is how we have to use it to cure this patient. And then this is the way we have to use it to cure this patient or treat this patient. So played a huge role. We were a lead resource. We still are. We are leading the vaccination campaign. We've vaccinated over 100,000 patients to date, and we're doing that right outside these doors, right outside in our outpatient setting, and we're leading that. Pharmacists are using the optimal scope of their practice. We literally are vaccinating patients. We're teaching patients about these new meds that are out, and we have huge number of questions that are coming through our facility on everything that's happening with COVID. So I can say that we do it on a daily basis anyway, but we've taken a step up in having to take care of all of the new medications and things that have come out to treat patients that have COVID.
And Ronnie, to wrap up, I know that we have live questions that may be coming in that we're going to answer, but I guess my main question is, what inspired you, or what is your inspiration for being a pharmacist, and what is the future of your field like?
For me, it was really just wanting to get into the healthcare system to treat patients. I know I wanted to be in the healthcare system. Initially, I wanted to be a physician, and that's why I said, you have your decision-making along your path. If you know you want healthcare, there's multiple areas that you can choose. Pharmacy was it for me after I looked at medical school. I thought medical school was for me, kind of did everything to get in there, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go be a doctor of pharmacy and try that profession out. But I always had the passion to be a healthcare professional. Pharmacy has now grown. We are no longer dispensing, and those pharmacists that are in Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, I'm putting plugs in for those companies, but they dispense. They take care of the medication. They handle the medication. As hospital pharmacists, we do clinical work, side-by-side nurses and physicians with the patient right in the center. And I think that's where the pharmacy profession is going. As a doctor of pharmacy, you're going to be treating patients one-on-one, side-by-side. And in pharmacy, coming very, very soon, you're going to be able to be writing prescriptions for patients, vaccinating patients like we're doing now, and embracing everything that physicians can actually do. We do not assess patients, but we're able to change medication therapies, write prescriptions, and move forward. We're doing that now through collaborative agreements with pharmacy. That's why the pharmacy career has grown. That's why the education has actually gotten a little more intense on the clinical side, because we're frontline healthcare providers that are now able to take care of patients one-on-one. So,
well, thank you so much, Ronnie, for joining us today and sharing your insight with our PATH students. And of course, we wish you continued success, and we thank DHR Health for having professionals such as yourself. Students, we hope that you enjoyed this session and that you took some notes. I'm going to be checking to see if there were some questions. Okay, let's see. Let's see, there's a lot of different ones. So see. Okay, I guess some of the ones that are here are kind of related, and they deal with patient care. They ask if pharmacists have any control over, or if there's any protocol for patients that get hooked on certain medications, whether it be that you work at CVS and you notice something, or whether it's you're working at the hospital and you see a recurring patient. Is there protocols you have to follow, and does that happen often?
Yeah, we get that occasionally. Doesn't happen often, but we do get those patients that obviously have medication-related issues that we have to address. There's regulatory pieces that we have to follow. So yes, there is a protocol. There's regulatory agencies. We have an opioid stewardship committee that meets to handle certain things that we do with controlled substances, and those are narcotics, pain meds, things like that, that have the potential to be abused by patients. So we handle those particular medications very, very carefully, very securely, and we obviously utilize them very carefully for our patient to make sure that we're treating the patient and ensuring that they're not diverted and they're not abused.
A really good question that came up that we actually didn't touch on is, when you went to undergrad and graduate school, was financial aid available for you? And what type of loans did you have to take, or do you have now that you're paying off? I guess they're more interested in understanding how to pay for this type of education.
Sure, absolutely. There's loans that I had to take out. I come from a very humble beginning. I had to borrow money through federal loans, through grants, and those are available to you. The one thing that I will tell you is take advantage of scholarships, because scholarships are hugely important. And you're competitive for scholarships, whether it's academic, whether it's community service, whether it's other things. Seek those particular scholarships because they assist you tremendously. I was lucky to have an academic scholarship to A&M, and that's what kind of paid for my school at Texas A&M. But it was because I dedicated myself to my school in high school when I was there. I was salutatorian of my high school, and I was able to get money to go to A&M and pursue my undergraduate education. So a lot of different things. We have local resources that will give you scholarships to be able to come back and practice here in the Valley. There are scholarships for the University of Houston College of Pharmacy that I represent that are available locally as well. So multiple areas that we can tap into to assist the financial challenges that you may have as a student, as a family, because we know that that is a big challenge for all of us. And there is assistance, so just keep that in mind. There's assistance, and I would encourage all of you now, early on, to start looking at the potential to get some of these scholarships that are accessible.
Okay, so one last question. They want to know how long or what's your schedule like? Like, do you have like a 9 to 5 with a 1 hour lunch, or do you work certain shifts, or what is a day in the life of for you?
I'll give you a quick rundown. For me, it's a different capacity. I'm one of the clinical managers, or the clinical manager for my department. So I'm at a supervisory level along with the director. and for me, it's observational. I have my clinical team, I have my pharmacists, I have my pharmacy technicians that work with that I have to work with on a daily basis. But it is shift work. A lot of our operational pharmacists work certain shifts, and then they leave. We replace them with another pharmacist that comes in later on in the day, and then there's some pharmacists that work overnight. We're a 24/7 pharmacy in the hospital. So we have pharmacists that alternate shifts, and then we have technicians that do the exact same thing. For me, I'm a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and that's just because I'm at the managerial level, but it doesn't end at 5 when you're a manager. You obviously have to stay connected connected with the pharmacy and be able to handle any issues, any questions that come up throughout the evening. So I'm consistently on my phone, on my email, and things like that. But I'm as a manager, I have a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 shift. For CVS, Walmart, Walgreens, those shifts differ as well. But they're shifts that you go in, you clock out. So it can vary depending on the setting. And I've enjoyed my Monday through Friday where I'm able to have my weekends off and my afternoons off. It's taken some time to get to a managerial role. You don't start there. You have to start as a pharmacist and work through your shifts. And once you prove yourself and gain experience, you move up the ladder. So, I bet there's tons of managers that are out there in the audience right now that are going to work hard to get to these types of positions. So, encourage you to continue to work hard, work on your academics. I'm going to retire soon. I want one of you guys to come and take my seat. So,
Well, thank you so much, Ronnie, for talking to us today. And students, we hope that you've enjoyed this presentation. Again, thank you to DHR Health for having these wonderful professionals available. So now we're scheduled for the lunch. The conference will resume at 1. So until then, take a little break, and we'll see you back at 1. Thank you.